In a bizarre attempt at lobbying for gender equality in criminality, a teenage girl has been charged with multiple murder in the great state of Georgia. Ms. Leslie Garcia Juarez was charged with felony murder and aggravated assault in incidents occurring nearly 1 year to the day and less than 4 miles away from one another. LGJ is apparently also an advocate for officially designating face and neck tattoos as legal identifiers for individuals with dissociative identity disorder. Well, if you wanted honesty, you've come to the wrong place, for this is the Disinformed Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
I'm Michael.
I'm Courtney.
It'll make more sense when you see this lovely lady's picture, I assure you. So check out the headline link.
Yeah, I'm going to do an impression of Michael looking at the picture. Oh, that's a picture. Oh, my name's Michael.
That's so interesting.
Where my pig at?
Where my pig?
I'm going to do an impression of Michael as well. Hot.
Nice.
You know what's really what's funny to me is that we make fun of you, Michael, but we end up, you're part of our inside jokes now, like your expression. So like we'll be out and it's like, well, we can go deeper. Well, only you ask me to.
Only if you
Or
ask.
it'll turn into now it's like oh, that's great. Can you go deeper?
Or name 5.
Yeah, Name 5 is still my favorite game of all fucking time.
Agreed.
It's. I think I was talking to Jonah about it last night. I did Rebels open mic, and then we went to my work afterwards and had a couple beers. But it's an aggressive question, but it's not insulting. But it is. It like teeters that line, you know. It's like, oh, you like hot dogs? Name 5. Speaking of, Courtney and Jonah came out to Rebels open mic to check it out and thank you for coming to see me play 2 songs. But I realized that not everyone has gone through the gauntlet of doing open mics.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say I saw a lot of the usual suspects on the old stream there.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that it was Courtney's first one.
Oh no!
So instead of me trying to mansplain an open mic, maybe Courtney can regale you with some of her favorite moments from last night.
Color me intrigued.
I think, I was telling Becky this. I grew up watching a lot of like Simon Cowell, American Idol. So when people sing bad, I just say what I think, and that's how it goes. And there was a lot of people where I'm like, it'd be really cool if your friends told you not to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of why I enjoy going occasionally, is because I want my friends to tell me to stop doing it.
But you were honestly the best act that we saw, because we left pretty shortly after you went on. The girl after you was actually really great, but
She was. And, well, thank you, 1, for saying that. But 2, sign up was at 7. It started at 7:30. I showed up at 7 and almost on the dot, and I was 14.
Good gracious! Hence the 2-song limit. Okay.
It was a very busy open mic. Yeah. But yeah,
Well,
I think. We saw someone do a really haphazard cover of "Stronger" by Kanye West, and just danced around saying the N-word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What else? There's
a couple people that didn't know their songs.
that's pretty par for the course.
Makes sense. Yeah.
There was a guy that just played the guitar or the bass or something at one point. I don't remember.
That was my favorite act of the whole night, because he gets up on stage with just a standard like 4-string bass, and he gets in the mic and goes, "I'm just gonna play some music for you guys. Just sit back and relax and enjoy your drinks." And then he proceeds to play scales for 4 minutes, and then he stops and he goes, and there's applause, and he goes, "Thank you." And he goes, "This next song is my mom's." And I lean over, Logan showed up, and I was like, "Oh, does he have permission to play it?" And Logan goes, "Oh, so this is a cover song." And he plays another song, another like 4 minutes of scales. And my favorite one, and again, like, or I'm making fun of it, but like these people are just trying to figure it out. And I was trying to defend some of it last night to everyone that was hanging out. Of like, Shane and I went to these open mics when we first started the band because it's a really good networking opportunity. And you have to like weed through. It's like, you know, gold mining. You know, you have to. There's a lot of sifting, but eventually you find at least like one or two people that like it's fun to be around, or like you enjoy their music genuinely. So as much as I make fun, like it's important to workshop, I think. I don't know.
John trying to be PC here and not offend any of our contemporaries, I see. Okay.
Yeah. There was a gentleman, I think he was like the first or second person playing, and it legitimately made me laugh out loud because he played his first song, and it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And then right when he got into his second song, he goes, also, so I'm releasing this song on Friday. You can find it, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, I'm the lead member of this band. He goes, actually, right now I'm the only member because I just moved out here. And I was like, you don't need to qualify. You can just be like, yep, this is my band. We got a song coming out Friday. Don't listen to it.
So, Courtney, to give you a little context for part of the reason I'm as emotionally scarred and mentally broken as I am, I hosted
time for this list.
I hosted an open mic when I was 17 until I was about 20. Yeah, probably just 20 in Havasu every week.
Huh.
So every Saturday.
Yeah.
So I hosted open mics, and then when I came down to the Valley, played a slew of them. So I have been playing and being around folks at open mics since I was probably 16. And this dynamic has never changed. There's always one guy who wants to play the longest songs he knows because he can bogart it. So it's like, 2-song limit? Okay. So here's an 8.5-minute song by Pink Floyd that I'm just going to painstakingly muscle through in spite of the fact that I don't know chords and I can't really strum. And singing to me sounds like a cat mewling on a fucking hot night out in Phoenix. Like, I don't wish I was here, sir. Please stop. Just don't do this anymore. So yeah, I'm a little touchier around open mics than John because I start getting like a real PTSD kind of twitch when I'm there. Because yeah, I would make fun of people as they would get off stage by the end of my hosting, and it was that's why they stopped having me around. I was like the lady up in Cottonwood. Just calling out 69 and
get up here, Grandpa. Get your free glasses, you piece of shit. Marcus, I was hitting him up on Instagram about the open mic the day prior to it, and there's a list I have in front of me right now of his satire on things that, he goes, will you cry and make people cringe by saying stuff like, I do like free drinks, y'all. Or, thanks for coming out to check me out tonight. Or, so here's my 6-minute backstory about my 2-minute song. Could I get a perfect monitor mix, please? My next favorite, if anybody knows the words, sing along. And tip your bartenders. And I gave him one in return because it is at Rebel Lounge. So for our Phoenix listeners, I was like, what if I just got up in there and was like, hey, remember when this place is called the Mason Jar? Which is not a joke for anybody else in this room except for Shane. But
so do you remember Mad Coyote Joe at all, John? Did you spend any time around?
Of course I do.
All right. So this is one of my favorite open mic stories. So at O'Connor's, this is one of the first times, and this just proves how Shane at an open mic is probably not a good idea. I went and hung out with Chad all the time, and he made my life a lot better just for his presence. And so most of the time, it was close enough to my house, and I just wanted the companionship, so I would go hang out. But the first time I encountered Mad Coyote Joe, he did the monitor mix bullshit. And he sat and strummed and made noises into the microphone. Can you turn that up a little bit? This is pretty dry. I need a little bit more than this. And I'm at the table directly in front of the stage. And as he had finished now 3 minutes of posturing and turning around and making sure that he was all, I yelled out as Chad's sitting next to me with no context of who this man is at all or what his, point of reference. I was just like, you prima donna fuck, would you just play a song already?
How did he take it?
Real well. Yeah, he and I, we had a little standoff there. Where I was just like, this is not the fucking main stage at Carnegie Hall, you jackass. It's a fucking open mic. Like, you don't need to have pitch perfect. They don't have pitch correction on the mic either, so I'm sure this is going to sound ghastly regardless of how they turn the knobs. Like, he and I had a nice exchange. It was a lot of fun. We're good friends to this day.
Yeah, he's a character for sure. I feel guilty even at, like, shows. Like, when you're supposed to have somewhat of a modern mix, I still, even then, feel guilty about asking for things when you're on stage. The only time I didn't feel guilty was when we did our headliner at Rebel, and that was great because the only reason I didn't feel guilty is because we loaded in at like 5 o'clock and we got to take an hour to like fine tune things.
Actually, sound check for once.
Yes.
And Carrie was the one who was doing the sound that evening, which is why I was so salty because she was obviously getting annoyed. And I could see it, and Chad was getting upset, so then I was just like, well, neither of them are saying anything, and I'm kind of a third party here, so I can get away with it because I'm not affiliated here. So, yeah, it was a good time. But what are you going to do? Sometimes you just need to run away from sounds, and some of us just adore sounds, as we revealed, because I realized this discussion occurred off mic last week, where I finally told everyone I am a fiend for ASMR. And and we did not discuss it out here in the world, but I went down the rabbit hole and explored some new creators on the Tubes of You today, and there are some weird folk out there making strange noises on microphones. So
yeah, I saw some of that this morning.
I should clarify that the things I tend to like are just sibilance and mouth noises and things. Like Bob Ross is the thing that triggered me initially. Like he would have a microphone just right next to his throat when he would be speaking, so you would hear the like the mouth noises, the swallows, all of these things.
So you can't handle. I'm trying not to do it right into my mic.
Too late.
You can't handle plosives. But
there's a difference.
You want to hear someone being throated?
Yeah, pretty much. No, there's a difference between someone who is speaking softly and having delicate somber tones and then occasionally swallow. I'm not saying this is where I was getting to the level of the annoyance level for some of these people who would repeat phrases while clicking their nails together and doing weird things like, welcome to my channel, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Like doing all this stuff. It's like, okay, this is not my power. I may have misspoke when I say that I enjoy this. So there's one or two people who will softly lull me to sleep by sort of whispering and being quiet. But no. So Michael, for context, this is an important thing. So I started listening to a lot of like last podcast on the left, and John introduced me. So now I've kind of gone down a rabbit hole.
I can't fucking believe that.
I know.
Happened.
I got to tell you, it's a real love-hate thing too, because like
yes, it is.
I get really like eked out by the fact that I have lines that these kids are crossing, which they're my contemporaries, but still. I'm like, okay, they have found the things that they are making fun of people who've been raped and murdered and trying to make it a joke. And it's like, yeah, I'm not comfortable with this.
Let's clarify that for a second. And obviously, we don't need to because they're vast. Like they're very,
yeah, we're
very
not
successful.
taking anything away from them, my friend.
But you and I had mentioned, not to derail, that the earlier episodes, they didn't really have tact
yes.
On the situations. But nowadays, and especially if you get further in, like they do have they do treat things a little more respectfully, and they do make it a point rather often to be like, hey, this is horrific shit we're talking about, and the only way out is through, and our medicine's laughter. And,
yes.
That's what we're kind of here for, is to laugh at the dark shit.
They're making a point of saying now that they are not mocking the victims, and they are straying away from that. But I'm still in like the first 100 episodes.
And
they are
you're
just
going You're
full
going from
tilt.
0 on?
Yeah, they're full tilt. No, I didn't go 0 on, but I'm like hitting the highlights of like the heavy hitters and random stuff that grabs me. So I'm just kind of going through, and yeah, these first ones are rough because they are full tilt bingo the entire time. So what I mentioned to John is I was like, I couldn't believe how professional we sound by comparison. Because
there 100 episodes?
Yeah, because it's rough. And so the thing that John's referring to, Michael, and I will give you a sample, and unfortunately for our good friends and listeners here who get to endure this is just kind of what I'm talking about, is that Marcus Parks, who is the primary presenter of most of their material, has got a real hot mic, and he eats it. So, not you. So as he's presenting... Every time he hits a plosive, it makes me almost stagger and fall. It's so heavy.
Okay.
So it's like, so anyway, on the periphery of the people who are talking in the and it's doing that, and it's hitting it so hard that I'm feeling like my body start to go off because it's almost like a gunshot to my eardrums. Is how heavy he's hitting it, and I'm like, God damn, just back off the mic a little, Marcus. Just take a breath.
You're a headphone listener primarily.
Yes, yeah. It's right against my skull.
That's interesting too. Let's get real meta. I listen to podcasts mainly like on my phone, like I walk around the house or like when I'm getting ready, like I don't connect it to a speaker. I'm just using my phone.
So you're a trash person.
Unless I'm at the gym, and then I bring Bose speakers, like loudspeakers, so everyone around me can listen to it.
Oh, okay. So total trash
nice.
person. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, I don't listen to a lot on headphones, so the plosives don't really kill me. But if I was on headphones when I am, I see what you mean. It's like it's like a bad mix.
Dude, it's not fun, and it distracts me from the show. I don't hear what he's saying anymore, and so it's great content. They're entertaining. There's some funny cats
for sure.
Anywho.
Yeah, so you were saying about ASMR. I was going to send you a video last week, and I didn't, of someone literally eating the bristles off of a brush.
The other thing that's like,
if I can find that video, I'm going to send it to you.
The devastation about ASMR, too, like, I love for the people who... I'm just going to torture everybody this week. I'm sorry. Like, as I'm watching some of these things, I'm, like, chilling out in my office, just taking a brief 5 minutes. They're doing videos where someone is very genteelly and, equitably going like, I just want to take a moment to talk to you all here, and I just want you to feel very comfortable and relaxed, and I just want you to feel calm with me. And so that's happening. And then a fucking ad kicks in. So you will go from this super quiet, like, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you watching my video. Do you own space in Arizona? And you're like, holy fuck!
You could solve that problem by just paying for YouTube.
No. Forget that.
What is he, rich?
Listen, why do I have to buy the whore when I can get the milk for free?
Jesus. Speaking of, though.
I don't want to.
Sorry, let me invert. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be insensitive. Let me last pod this thing. Why buy the cow when I can get the sex for free?
Oh my God. For fuck's sake.
You are a walking, breathing quote machine for all the content that you consume, and that's not.
I'm a pretty complicated parrot. Yes, I'm with you. Uh-huh.
I had an experience last night where I was watching a movie for the first time, and a quote that you have said came up, and I was like, I've heard this, and it's from Shane. I'm working through Kevin Smith's filmography. I'm watching, completely in order of release.
All right.
So I have never seen Jersey Girl, and I'm almost done with it now. But there's the scene at the beginning where J-Lo's pregnant, and she's saying that she's going to be around all these coked up whores.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's like, what? Just since I gave the context, will you just finish the damn thing?
No, honey. You could be a coked up whore. I want to be a coked up whore. You could be a coked up whore. It's fine.
Yeah, I started laughing, one, because the scene was really cute. And then also laughing because I could hear you saying it in my head.
Yeah, that movie is not as abysmal as everybody says it is. Like, there's some really charming moments. It is kind of lower quality. You can tell he's kind of grasping at straws at points. But, I mean, Carlin alone makes that palatable for me.
I mean, also the gut punch of the beginning, like the concept alone is a gut punch. But I don't know why. Maybe I was just in my feelings last night. But that intro just fucking wrecked me.
Well, unlike Up, which will do that when you say goodbye to a beloved character right off the start, I routinely, the joke for me for years running was that was my favorite Kevin Smith movie. And everybody was like, why? I was like, I got to watch Jennifer Lopez die. Are you like, you don't get any better than that. Like, I've been begging for that to happen for years. Like, didn't happen in The Cell, didn't happen in Anaconda. Like, they kept teasing me with this concept, and she kept coming out on top. And finally, I got to watch the sweet, sweet grip of death just finally get a hold of her. And I'll pay money for that. I'm prepared.
And you did. You bought the movie, and
I
you
did.
probably saw it in theaters, too.
Yep, I own that film. Plus, that's my introduction to Sweeney Todd, strangely enough.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Taking to see the cats.
Just gotta go see the cats. And Raquel, she's just delightful. Excellent performance. Liv Tyler was great in that movie as well.
I'm not to Liv Tyler yet.
Oh, man. We're back to the John. I do things in like 5-minute bursts.
Yeah, I think I have 30 or 40 minutes left.
Okay.
I ended up watching more of it than I thought I was going to.
All
I
right.
thought I was just going to maybe like watch the setup and then I'd go to sleep. And if I would have known that I would only have slept 4 hours, I would have just finished the fucking thing and hopefully been more tired and slept a normal schedule. But for some reason today, my body was like, you know what, dog? You got nothing going on. There's no outside stress for you today. How's 4 hours of sleep sound?
Perfect.
Which I was telling Courtney, like, not to, humble brag or flex or anything, but I sleep fucking great. Like, I don't have a problem sleeping usually anymore. Like, that used to be my big complaint. It's like, oh, I'm an insomniac. No, I was just a fucking idiot, and I wasn't listening to my body, and I wasn't forcing myself to fucking sleep.
What, do you put like a gun in your mouth?
I do that to come.
Sleeper, I swear to God.
Do you listen to Sam Jackson tell you to go the fuck to sleep before you get in bed, or what's your methodology here, champ?
I think I was so inebriated by the fact, like when I was younger, of trying to stay up past, like
So
when my parents,
your dad would give you rum and then just
Yes.
fuck you to sleep.
When my parents went to bed, is when like I could get away with watching shit that I
Linda,
wanted to
no.
watch. Or like, I had the house to myself or whatever. So like, I feel like I programmed myself to like want to outlast, and I think that fucked me up going into the future. And it turns out being an adult is kick ass.
Oh man. Okay. Well, on the subject, oddly enough, Kevin Smith only usually sleeps 4 hours a night, usually.
Yeah, and he had a heart attack.
Yeah, he functions on, the good old micro naps, as they call it, or he refuses to sleep the night through any longer.
You mean like the Uberman sleep cycle?
Yep. He's of the opinion that he doesn't require that much sleep anymore. He wants to be as productive as he can, so he's a wake and bake stoner,
Sounds
and he only
exhausting.
sleeps 4 hours a night.
Speaking of being a wake and bake, that was Michael today.
There's my transition, my friend. I'm trying to get us there. I'm not kidding.
Really
I try to steer this fucking ship. I really do. Like I'm trying to get there.
I just want to see the gerbils inside of your brain.
They're hamsters.
All the
thank
hamsters
you.
on wheels.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Like the gerbils is a Richard Gere thing, and
the gerbils are south.
Yeah, my brain's being penetrated, just not in that way. Not little scratchy things with claws.
Well, Michael can go deeper.
But only if you ask me to.
Well, speaking of how deep have you all hit yet? I mean, do you need to get fully infused?
Well, I'll let the woman speak for herself.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
When's gonna be my time?
No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm great. I'm super great.
Nice.
That'll learn us.
Again,
for context, yes, we should probably talk about a little bit of Courtney's experience for today, just to help familiarize folks.
For sure. I don't care. I'm no problem talking about it. So I had a lymph node biopsy this morning. The scar they left me with is about 2.5 inches long. It's much bigger than what we discussed because my lymph node was much more swollen.
Ooh,
fun.
So they're sending it out to see if I have cancer, which is really awesome.
It is awesome.
It's been 3 years since my last cancer scare, so it's about time. But we have a friend who works in the marijuana industry, and he grows and he makes products, and he fortunately has been able to help a buddy of ours who has stage 4 cancer actually be able to eat again and like get through his chemo. And so Jonah reached out to him and it was like, hey, like this is what's been going on, like can you hook it up? And so he made me they're like Fruity Pebble Rice Krispie treats.
Ooh.
And they're infused and they are wonderful. They feel way better than all the weird narcotics that I'm currently on because I'm still coming out of the anesthesia.
Right. So you get a pass for the evening, is what we're saying. Is that you're, you're kind of emerging from a fog bank presently, and so we're gonna have to clarify. It may be a little difficult for you to just kind of navigate this nonsense.
I feel like I probably speak maybe a little bit slower, but I'm very cognitive. I don't get a head high.
Okay.
And even I slept 45 minutes last night. I was just on edge.
Yeah,
I went and stood in the shower for an hour and was just like, I don't know, this is fine. But I will say this morning, for some reason, I was really sharp when they got me into the hospital bed and we were ready to go. And the nurse is like, are you ready? And I was like, well, yeah, but do they have the YouTube tutorial pulled up? Like, are they ready for me? And she was like, what are you talking about? I was like, how else is he going to know how to do this surgery? And so
brilliant.
She busts up and she's like, that is the funniest thing anyone has ever said. And I was like, well, the thing is, usually when you get rolled into an operating table, at least in my experience, the other 4 surgeries I've had, they knock you out and then they take you into the operating room. But today I went into the operating room fully conscious, helped move myself onto the operating table, got strapped down, and then they gave me the narcotics. And I was like, where's this? I don't see the screen with the video. Like, how's he going to do this? So, the anesthesiologist was also, he thought that was pretty funny. And then they just started telling jokes until I passed out. So that was really great.
That's great.
And that's when the cannibalism started.
What was that? I love, in particular, when Courtney showed up to my house today, because I'm opening the door, and one, I don't know, I have a case of the dumbs always, so I'm like, can you handle stairs? Can you walk up the stairs? And she's like, yeah. Or I think Becky just walked in, she goes, it was on her armpit, not her fucking legs. Like, she's fine.
Listen, I don't do these drugs.
Courtney's first words to me was something to the effect of, and if you remember it, please, was, I think, or you were saying it to Becky, you're like, I'm just here to prove that I'm better than Michael, that I can do this after a surgery the same day, and he couldn't even handle an episode with a fucking migraine.
Oh my God. All right, that's the gauntlet thrown then. Shit.
Shots fired.
So, I don't know, that, I feel like that sums up the big energy, But she brought me, so I'm pointing like people can see this shit.
Yeah.
She brought me a little sliver of the edibles in question.
Okay.
And I took a little nibble before we jump back on for the podcast. So I feel good.
Okay. Well, you both are entirely too lucid. I was under the impression that the reefer madness would have set in by now.
Here. Okay. So describe what you're seeing.
You've got a dick in your hand. It's very tiny and metallic. But
it's a pencil dick. Yeah.
Yeah. You're sucking it now, and it ejaculated into your face.
Okay, and I've just taken a little bit of a rip. We'll see what happens.
Rip's not roids, bud.
because Shane's been trying to segue to this.
The rip and run.
What are we talking about today?
Oh, I got topics for you, my friend. We're going to talk about Colonel Harlan Sanders.
Plot twist.
Cliffhanger.
Welcome to
Colonel's,
the KFC podcast.
Colonel Sanders X.
This is
Chicken in space.
No, this is actually now. Colonel Harlan Sanders rose from the grave on April 23rd, 2017.
Oh my god.
He began stalking pets and eating his family members around his grave.
That's what I was trying to get to. I was trying to make a Jason X joke.
Yes.
That they froze him and then sent him up into a space shuttle, and then he awakens, and then he starts killing the camp counselors in space.
Colonel Zombie. Gravy lover, yes. For those who are unfamiliar with this glorious little podcast and you have now managed to maneuver your way to the 30-minute mark with us, having no clue what we typically do here, we will usually delve into a random esoteric topic, and in the course of explaining it, we will lie about it to one another. That's the shtick. That is the presentation, and it has been lots of laughs and loads of fun for now 93 full episodes up until today. So Mr. Michael is going to take us on what I imagine to be a Wonkavator straight to hell, as we talk about something that is going to go to the deepest of depths and the highest of highs.
Yeah. So, before I mention the lies, I want to do the little intro,
Mm-hmm.
Courtney, just so you know, before you ask me in the middle. So, I know this episode isn't anywhere close to April 20th, but let's travel back in time to the less confusing and less scary times of 4/20/21.
Diddly-doo, diddly-doo, diddly-doo.
What simpler times we're in. Now, since Arizona got them legalized recreational Mary Jane...
What year is it?
All the There's still time! Now, since Arizona got them legalized recreational Mary Jane, all those who partake and that can do so legally should light up a doobie, because today we're talking about a pretty dank topic.
Michael, do you think that when you finally get further into weed that you're going to stop sounding so goddamn white about it?
No, I wrote this whole thing like that. I'm
I
sorry.
imagine this is what having an assistant principal sounds like going to the assistant principal's office and they're just like,
Bookmark that. We have a question
no.
to end this episode. just teasing it now. Anyway.
No, I'm
So,
scared.
Courtney, I should tell you that drugs are real bad. And, it can dramatically impact how you relate to other people and, how you eventually, relate to your future partner. And, I notice you have that promise ring, and, you shouldn't roll a joint that's bigger than that ring. That's always been my guiding principle and the ballast that has held me in good stead for the entirety of my being the assistant principal at this school and a kitty diddler. Wait, I wasn't
Sir.
supposed to say that out loud.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Oh, well, can I have a Baconator, please?
Listen,
I
I
wanna
usually
ate
don't
her,
do
too.
this. I usually don't do this, but you have to get the fuck out of here.
Ate her. Damn near killed her.
Today we're talking about a brief history of weed leading up to its prohibition in the
You
U.S.
goddamn right.
I do want to start by giving a warning that there's going to be some racism sprinkled about. We are talking about U.S.
is that all
history,
based on your own
after all.
opinions, or is that just
That wasn't a
topical?
really good trigger warning. That just makes it sound like, all right, so I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to get really racist for a
I'm
second.
gonna tell you what I really think.
Here I'm going to drop some hard facts
Here
here.
you go, John. I didn't know you like to get wet, though.
God.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try my best to approach it as gently as possible, but just remember that I'm white trash.
Why can't you write?
I
Oh my
can't.
God.
Sorry,
I just
I'm not-
like being cool, and I'm not.
No, you're doing fine. I'm just a child. Just for you saying I'm going to approach it as gently as possible. Just phrasing is a big deal.
I'm gonna put that as the new intro to the show for season 3. By the way, I just like being cool.
Yeah, actually, if you clip that, it'll come.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Huh? Huh? Huh?
Now, before I begin in earnest,
Oh,
I do want to mention the difference between hemp and marijuana, because
Okay.
that will be important.
important, yes.
Yes. According to U.S. law, hemp refers to the sterilized seeds, stems, stalks, and roots of the cannabis plant, whereas marijuana refers to the, air quotes, viable seeds, leaves, and flowers, whatever that means. I assume it's seeds that have been processed in some way that they can be smoked. I don't know.
You can smoke my seed.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that with different strains of marijuana, there's certain types of plants that can reproduce and certain types that can't. So they might be referring to that.
Oh.
Well, here at the park,
Okay.
they're all female.
Listen, I don't want to smoke nothing that can't reproduce, all right? That ain't legal in my eyes nor the eyes of the Lord that I love. It's a sin and an offense to God if my weed can't get busy and make baby weed. Green baby.
While John and Courtney probably ingest
Fuck me.
the
Say it as you fucking wrote it, motherfucker.
While John and Courtney probably ingest the dank kush known as marijuana for its psychoactive effects, hemp
Wiser.
has virtually non-existent levels of THC, the drug that causes one to get high. Hemp is used for a variety of products, from hemp and clothing to construction and food, not to mention that can be used to create various forms of CBD oil, which itself has many medicinal uses that I won't get into detail here. The cannabis plant has been used by various civilizations going all the way back to classical Greece, which I did not know.
Is this still your preamble?
Still your this is
This is the intro.
Okay.
A little bit of history.
All right, good.
Literally not even a paragraph.
Yeah, how
of-
many lies are in this intro?
Well,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I got too
that's why I
excited.
asked. I wasn't sure if we were going to clarify lies up front or if you'd begun the
I-
presentation.
Yes, that's a fair point. I got off track by other things.
Okay.
There are 5 lies in the whole presentation.
Done.
Okay.
Yes. So, the cannabis plant has been used by various civilizations going all the way back to classical Greece. In fact, the oldest written record goes back to Aristotle, who first encountered the plant being ingested by the Indian slaves taken during Alexander the Great's military conquest of the Indian subcontinent. This is all well and good, but since this is an American podcast, we're only going to focus on America from here on out. because
Or number 1, it'd be
Yeah.
the worst.
Hemp in the U.S. goes all the way back to the beginning of American history. That's right, I'm talking 1619.
Nice.
Hemp was... Sorry?
There's a 6-9 in there somewhere.
Yes, it's just separated by a 1. They're just exclamation points gone horribly awry. Anyway, hemp was an important cash crop for the growing American colonies, to the point where King James I required every property owner in Jamestown to grow 100 plants of hemp for export.
Jamestown.
Bullshit.
No, that was true. Failure to do so would land you a fine or even jail time. In 1619, the Virginia colony passed a law requiring hemp to be grown on every farm in the colony. Around the same time, the crop was considered a proper form of currency in Virginia, as well as in Pennsylvania and Maryland. In fact, it was such an important form of currency that during the Revolutionary War, American soldiers were frequently paid in hemp when food supply and money was low.
Man, that's a kick in the balls.
Yeah.
I know you can't have food, but here's something that's going to give you the munchies.
If you just hold on to this hemp, I bet you it'll be worth something when we break free of Britain.
Oh no, he's saying that hemp doesn't have those properties. So
Oh,
it would
I'll
just
give
be
you
a
some
bitch.
properties.
It would just be a bitch to try and eat. It would just probably
Yeah.
just taste like skunk shit.
Eating clothes.
Clothes or cloves?
Clothes.
Yes. Either way.
Yes. Our first president, George Washington, for those who did not know that, actually grew hemp at his plantation.
Is that bullshit?
No, that was not. I think it was even his official, the website that officially covers his estate or something had said that. I have a large amount of show notes for this.
There's a
it was
website
something
that
they wrote about.
legally covers his estate?
As in, like, the website that is tied to his historical
Okay,
estate.
I was like, action items
Yes.
from the
Yeah.
Washington Monument today.
Whoa!
Was it actually used as currency in Maryland?
It was.
Interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
So, spending a couple centuries of doing nothing but growing, the United States hemp production reached its peak following the Civil War. However, this is where we go from happy times to completely over-the-top racist times.
And we never left.
Yeah, and we never left.
We never left.
That's
We
a
live in a
t-shirt that
trash society.
I am looking forward to in the great state of Arizona. Completely over the top racist times. The 48th state.
In the Union?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Ooh-wee. Towards the end of the 19th century, marijuana began creeping its way into all sorts of medicinal products, to the point where said products were required to be labeled as such with the Pure Food and Drug Act in 1906. This was a good idea because this was the age of the snake oil salesman. And regulation helps rein in those people trying to sell stupidly dangerous medicinal remedies. I had found a picture of an early version of Coca-Cola listed, where the ingredients listed for this early version of Coca-Cola listed alcohol, cannabis indica, the fancy name for marijuana, chloroform, and morphine as ingredients.
I'm calling bullshit on the weed being included in the Coca-Cola.
So...
And the morphine. I thought it was just Coke.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
Coca
No,
leaf.
you're right. So it actually wasn't an early version of Coca-Cola. But I do have a picture of cough syrup with all 4 of those ingredients listed.
Color me intrigued.
Yes, and it's actually a separate list on the show notes. Actually, I can even show it to you guys just so you can see it. Yeah,
You can share that screen.
I will.
You wrap
I
that
will.
rascal.
Mm-hmm. And how? Let's see,
We
right
shall.
here. So you guys can see one night trademark cough syrup, alcohol,
It's a picture.
cannabis, chloroform, and morphine.
I like that it's one night cough syrup.
Yeah, considering all that stuff will just knock you out. It'll stop the cough.
It's also going
You
to
can't
knock you
cough,
dead,
you can't breathe.
apparently, because
Yeah.
it's advertising like, you ain't going to use
Well,
this
hey,
again.
It's less than 1% alcohol, so it's not that bad.
Oh, well, when you mix it with everything
Okay,
else.
so now is this the date rape drug of the 1900 or the 1800s now? It's just like, give her that one night cough syrup. I guarantee she ain't going to be coming to by the time you're coming to.
She won't be coming to at all.
She would.
But to also answer the question that you had earlier about Coca-Cola, it did have cocaine, alcohol, and caffeine.
Mhm.
The caffeine was actually from a cola tree nut, which is where the cola comes from, the part of Coca-Cola.
Cola?
I thought cola came from the balls.
It is not cola, it is cock.
No. Pee. Pee is stored in the balls.
Yeah.
That's a lottery I don't want to win, my friend. Bingo.
So remember how I listed all the products that hemp is used for?
They're stoned.
the
They don't remember
construction?
anything, Michael.
That's fair.
Sober or stoned, I
Um,
never remember. Just know that.
The water remembers now.
It always remembers. Hemp is used in construction and clothes.
Cloves.
said
Pretty
that
much you
already.
name it.
Yeah.
Cloves.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, the hemp industry was in fierce competition with a bunch of other industries, from the lumber industry for paper and pulp products to clothes,
Cotton
as well as even the oil industry.
Ooh.
Yes. One such major company, the DuPont Company, had made several discoveries, including a process to make high-quality paper from wood pulp and nylon. Sorry, I didn't spread that out there.
Yes,
Included
spread it.
a process to make high-quality paper from wood pulp, and also discovered nylon, an important synthetic material used for making all sorts of products, from clothes to tents to carpets to even automobile parts, which I did not know.
Mm.
The nylon is not bullshit.
It is not.
Okay.
They do have the patent for nylon, the DuPont company.
Okay.
Yes.
And they also kill, wrestlers, which is a lot of fun.
Mhm. Actually, I don't get that reference.
It's
so I can't nod in
the
agreement.
John DuPont, the team Foxcatcher thing. We'll catch it on the next
Oh my
round.
god. Yeah.
Okay.
God damn.
But a descendant of that family lineage went off the deep end and shot somebody with a handgun, like you do.
Do I smell an episode?
I mean, if you're intrigued enough, I suppose.
I am.
I
All right.
am. So, as the American capitalist pigs we most certainly are, we know that competition isn't necessarily good for business. Why control 50% of the market when you can control 100% of the market? So, there began a push to make hemp illegal in order to eliminate the competition. And what better way to start a push than with the media and someone high up in the government. And I've realized I could have turned that into a reference to the beer hall push, but I was not that smart.
Yeah, man, how dare you? That
The
would've been
beer
a
hall
good-
push
that would've
is
been a good
when
joke.
It's one of my
Hitler
favorite.
tried to take power and he failed.
Oh, I thought you were referring to the Mighty Mighty Bosstones tune of the same name. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, no, I was not aware of that.
It's probably not a song, Michael.
Uh, sorry.
We lie on this show,
Nero-
my friend.
yes,
I
yeah.
hate to tell you.
Well, have any of you
Fuck
guys-
me.
Oh my god.
I got way too
I don't know
used
how
for
to add
talking
that.
the entire episode,
I'm
so now I
sorry.
forgot that lulls happen.
Yeah, he's
And
had
I'm-
four. You've had four, wait,
Yeah,
probably
I've been
6 hours maybe.
It's
of
been a
just
long
nice talking.
jaunt of me just listening to myself talk. So
Well, it's just going to make
I'm
Michael's job harder because he's going to have to, actually edit now.
looking for killing that dead air.
Tasty dead air.
Tasty.
Have any of you guys ever heard of William Randolph Hearst and
Oh,
the idea
yes.
of yellow journalism? I figured you would at least know, or at least know of that concept of yellow journalism.
I was a gentleman who was planning on being a journalist at one point, my friend. So
Shit,
yeah,
know him.
Mr. Hurst and I, we're good
Guy
friends.
owes me $15.
Good pull. Beautiful big-titted women don't fall out of the sky,
Billy Hearst, as I like to call him, was a newspaper mogul.
Mogul.
Yeah, muggle.
Mogwai.
Mogul.
Mackerel. Published newspaper. Don't
And-
feed Billy after midnight, otherwise we're gonna have a headline you don't want to read.
And I have a new headcanon. Billy the
wanna
Mogwai.
know.
All right.
Oh, goodness.
I hate it so much. Makes me uncomfortable.
So Billy Hearst, as I like to call him, was a newspaper mogwai, whose empire stretched from sea to shining sea. His newspapers popularized yellow journalism, a tabloid style of news reporting that was exaggerated, crude, and sensationalistic.
Not something that refers to disparaging people. We are not keeping that racist thread going here, friends.
One blog to give a more modern interpretation or modern definition of yellow journalism. You can think of it as 19th century clickbait. It was pretty much just headlines that were supposed to be completely incorrect or factually incorrect, or if you do any sort of actual reading into it, you find that it's
You want stuff to be incendiary because you want people to buy papers. There's no point in selling stuff that no one's interested in. So the early equivalent of sex sells. You want to put something in a headline that's grabbing for the audience.
Similar to today, the American public in the early 20th century was largely unconcerned with corporate profits and competition. Billy Hearst, in his experience slinging bullshit, knew what motivated the average citizen: sensationalism and fear. He knew that, in order to move public opinion against hemp, he had to make it inseparable from the psychoactive marijuana, and to do that, he had to connect the old Mary Jane with something the American people always view with suspicion: racial minorities.
Yikes.
Ooh,
That's an oof.
that
Yeah.
definitely is.
From 1910 to 1920, Mexico was undergoing the very destructive Mexican Revolution, which caused a large influx of Mexican refugees to cross the border into the United States. This would have already had an effect on the average citizen. Just look at the border crisis going on still, if you want a good example. But when Billy learned that some refugees smoked that dank kush to help escape the reality that was fleeing the destruction of homes and livelihoods, it was all old Billy Hearst needed.
So white. So white.
Here's a couple of samples of newspaper articles. Is the Mexican nation locoed, that was in air quotes, by a peculiar weed?
No.
Deadly marijuana.
Yeah, is that bullshit?
No.
No, that is not bullshit.
Ugh.
It's bad.
Deadly marijuana rolled in cigarettes becomes the curse of the Southern Republic and may account for the bravery of greaser bandits who defy the the United States.
Yep. Pretty insensitive.
Yeah, that's pretty
Was it marijuana, the new Mexican drug that nerved the murderous arm of Clara Phillips when she hammered out her victim's life in Los Angeles? 3/4 of the crimes, which was in all caps, of violence in this country today are committed by dope slaves.
Oh my god.
That is a matter of cold record. And there was probably no citation for
Probably
that.
No,
not.
certainly not. No.
Also, I just wanted to let you know, Michael, that I think the Disinformed Clips folder is going to grow 2 sizes this day.
I hope so.
I need more tasty, tasty Michael clips.
Ooh. Mexican dream drug feared here wafts user into condition of coma and leads in the end to insanity. So maybe the person that was in part of the whole sleepy time tea who wrote everything while in a coma, maybe he just smoked some weed. Because you start with coma and then you lead to insanity.
Where do you
So,
get that weed? I
makes-
have no experience with that one.
Yeah, I
would
wouldn't
sign
mind
it
being in a
up,
coma
yeah.
for a minute.
I believe it's
Yeah.
called wacky weed.
Ah.
The wacky tobacco.
Indeed.
It's pronounced by K.
Oh, I have his third record. Got some tasty cuts on it.
And because I have done previous episodes about moral panics, the fatal marijuana cigarette must be recognized
your
as a
existence
deadly.
is a moral panic. I'll have you know.
Why are you
Mike.
fucking Hank Hill in this
Yeah,
whole thing?
where did the-
Why is it marijuana?
Yeah, when did you decide? You decided literally it was a choice 20 minutes ago that you're like, all right, I'm going to say it normal for a little while, and then I'm going to go Juana.
So, older versions of marijuana were spelled in newspapers with H instead of J.
That's bullshit.
Because I think that's closer to no, it is not. I think that's closer to the Spanish
Fly?
spelling.
You
of
also
the word.
just totally malorded that question. Why'd you start doing it as Juana? Well, you see, back in the day, it was spelled with an H. Not
I was.
J.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
lady.
say that because I was reading these articles
As H's.
in the time. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
So, the fatal marijuana cigarette must be recognized as a deadly drug, and American children must be protected against it. This propaganda grew in intensity over the next few decades. Ads presented marijuana as weed with roots in hell. That led to
Badass.
weird orgies, wild parties, and, my favorite, unleashed passions.
Indeed.
Parents were warned that marijuana was, quote, a vicious racket with its arms around your children.
Can I go bullshit on that one?
Oh, I mean, you can, but it's all true.
Oh, fun. Speaking of things that damage people's children, though, not to sidebar this because we do this all too
You
often.
talking about
but
Sam?
No, have you heard? Yeah, she emotionally scars them. It's a little different. She's not Gacying him or anything. But have you heard this nonsense from people in Florida that are arguing against mask mandates in school because they claim that it provides pedophiles and child traffickers a firmer foothold in abduction because you can't identify what kid is missing because they're wearing a mask and you can't say who stole them.
What in the actual
What
hell?
Yes, I just
What?
listened to someone give an impassioned speech to like a Florida school board today.
Wow.
And that was the claim. And of course, this is God's country here in Florida. It's like, oh yeah, it's God's waiting room, you stupid
There we
fuck.
go. I was hoping you'd say it.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, to give another story from Arizona,
Oh.
The Scottsdale School District actually closed one of their meetings early. They adjourned it. I think it was last week or the week prior as of this recording, because so many people came in not wearing masks. And they were like, we can't have a meeting with everyone here not wearing masks, so we're just shutting it down. And they literally adjourned the meeting right then
Welcome
and
to
there.
Scottsdale.
I've seen recording of it. Yeah. And I was like, huh, I wouldn't have believed it was from Arizona. at all.
Same.
It is the worst
Yeah.
time for me to try to take people up on the dare of America, love it or leave it. Like I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm putting out applications. It's like, will you take me in Zimbabwe? Because I'm willing.
I feel like
Uh,
as long as you have an internet connection, you're fine. You know?
yeah, sure.
That's
I don't
what
need the internet. I've proven this. I have media that travels with me.
It is known.
Indeed. I'm sorry, Michael. Please continue. But yeah, I was
No,
so
no,
agog
you're
by that. I
fine.
was like, I can't continue to live in this country. We are on a gyroscope of craziness right now that is in constant perpetual motion, and I just don't know when the joke is going to end. I keep waiting for the punchline, and it hasn't
I'm
happened
just
yet.
sitting here like, what's the joke?
I mean, we're in a state that's currently auditing an election that took place 7
Oh my
months
God.
ago, and that's just, yeah, I can't. My brain's just not processing things any longer. I quit.
Yeah, just reading all the articles about that, how it's not even really an actual audit, like an actual count. They're
Yeah.
doing things wildly inaccurate.
It's like William
I'm-
Randolph Hearst set this thing up on its own. It's all orchestrated by big media. Speaking of which, back into your topic.
In 1936, a church group made a film originally titled Tell Your Children. In it, high school students try marijuana and pay a high price.
I am going to call bullshit. Was this not called Reefer Madness?
It was originally called Tell Your Children.
Okay.
It actually was screened in various other areas of the country and went by multiple different titles.
Okay.
Doped Youth, The Burning Question, and Reefer Madness.
The burning question is something you should speak to your doctor about.
It only burns when I pee. Some of the results of their descent into drug-crazed abandon are hallucinations, insanity, manslaughter, a satanic orgy, and a hit-and-run accident.
Your propensity to throw things into lists makes me want to call bullshit on it,
Yeah.
but the only thing I can think of would be that the accident is probably the only thing that sounds like something you'd come up with.
No, the hit-and-run
I
accident
don't
was
feel
in
like
Okay.
manslaughter fits the category.
It is.
I was going to say,
the
death
movie as
is
well.
one of them. Yeah,
Oh.
I'm familiar enough with that.
But you guys are getting pretty close. There is one in
Okay,
there.
well,
I want John to give a try before I'll
No.
give
Well, I was
it.
going to say, I'm holding myself accountable to the same functionality that, I hold you all to. So if I don't get it directly, I don't think you have to disclose it.
I'm gonna admit.
But go ahead,
Well,
John.
I was gonna say I'm gonna admit. The edible has started to take hold. It was a lot of
We
fun.
were just
I will
we were 15 miles outside of Barstow when the drugs began to
And
take
Courtney
hold.
saw the amount that I took. It wasn't a lot, but I
No.
can feel it. It's very nice. Say the list again.
So, hallucinations, insanity, manslaughter, a satanic orgy, and a hit-and-run
So-
accident.
Satanic orgy.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
the bullshit one. Yes.
It's a little early,
especially-
but yeah.
Yeah, especially because I already did a callback to the Panic episode, so, if I can't do it again.
Panic where the dicks go.
Mhm.
That's good.
Now,
I said it on that episode too.
Well then, that was good.
But I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad for the validation. I do need it from time to time, so thank you.
Now, if it were just the media
Hmm.
talking about how dangerous weed was, it wouldn't really matter, right? As long as Congress and the government weren't telling me how I can't smoke that kush, then it's all fine and
I
dandy.
hate you so much.
Oh, so
Why did we let you do this?
I'm also mostly offended because now you're making me want to order Chiba Hut, and I'm getting really upset at you because I don't have a sandwich or a meatball here to help me to eat my feelings and get through this episode.
I've never been there. Is it good?
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh my god, it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Furthermore,
It's fantastic,
if you
yeah.
do like baked cereal bars, they have a medley of them. They have chocolate flavored, fruit flavored, and then just a regular Rice Krispie. Melissa swears by them, and I enjoy them as well. But they do them with interesting cereals. So they'll take Captain Crunch and put it together with Fruity Pebbles or things like that. There was a Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Cocoa Pebbles combination a while back that I was really fond of. So yeah, they're exquisite, and I absolutely approve. And they have local musicians playing in many locations. Our good friend Martine used to play at a Chiba Hut fairly regularly. So
Huh.
I heartily approve of the franchise.
Nice.
that's awesome. Shoot, I didn't know.
But yes, all of their the sizes of all of their things are like blunt or nug, and but there's a lot of you can order. They have a sandwich called OG Kush, I believe. If I
So
remember
Shane
correctly.
knows the lingo, but just not in a way that you would expect.
I know it relative to the things that would entice a fat man is that it's a sandwich size. So I'm like, yeah, I know me a sandwich. See, that's why I don't need weed, because I don't need any further incentivization to, just glut myself into a state of absolute obesity.
Well, I'm sure that Michael might bring this up, but I feel like a situation where you might imbibe or, enjoy some cannabis would be like instead of taking pain pills, like if you had like major, huge surgery, instead of trying to get hooked on fucking like Vicodin and shit,
I'm looking forward to, again, this is how I'm going to get my early retirement, is I have had so many people offer to pay me money to witness me get stoned that I'm just going to set it up one-time pay-per-view,
There's
and
your
I will
OnlyFans.
probably be able to get
Yeah.
at least 2 years salary out of just selling that.
Or-
so I'm looking forward to it.
and your mom's gonna love it. It's part of your Patreon.
It's an
so
interesting
sign
way
up-
to go.
Sign up for Shane's crazy wild ride, and
I'll tell you.
the tier amounts of subscriptions, but they have to keep it for like 6 months or a year. So you have to really get in that monthly sub before you have to be obligated to take the drug.
Going to turn into my Go Fuck Me, I think.
No, it's basically like fuck me to the grave Patreon. Like
Sure. My mom actually has friends who routinely imbibe the marijuana, as Micah would say it, and so we've had many discussions about weed, my mother and I. But let's not Norman Bates this any further than we've already done. But
quick before Michael gets there, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, Shane, but I would actually pay you money not to do drugs. I don't want to see. I also
I
do not
appreciate
want to
that.
see that.
yeah, I'm probably going into the ground as straight edge as humanly possible. So other than the murder, I've been super clean.
For sure.
There you go. And that's what matters.
Murder matters.
And that's what matters. I'm Michael.
Oh.
And how? Enter the Secretary of the Treasury, Andrew Mellon, who was also heavily invested in the DuPont company and so had a lot to gain from removing the hemp competition. As nepotism isn't new, when the Federal Bureau of Narcotics was formed in
He was a
1932,
donkey? The Federal Bureau? That's so cute.
Either that or he had some prairie dogs living in him.
And that's how I know that Courtney's feeling good too.
I was like, I thought I said it.
I wonder if there's some rabbits in black suits down there in that Bureau of Investigation.
I don't know. Let me go take another look.
Well, I tend to find that
Shut
rabbits
the
are very...
fuck up.
See, this is the unfortunate byproduct of exposing me to a show where somebody routinely does voices. Is I'm like, man, I haven't been flexing on this shit at all for almost 100 episodes. So now
Save it
I'm
for
just
season
I'm turning
3.
in. I'm bringing voices in early, motherfucker. You better get ready.
So, when the Federal Bureau of Narcotics was formed in 1932, Mellon's nephew, Harry Anslinger, was named its head. For those thinking about it, marijuana is not a narcotic, but that didn't stop Anslinger from helping lead the campaign against it. It was actually Anslinger who popularized the Spanish name for the substance, marijuana. This was a smart tactic, as it painted cannabis as foreign and exotic. By making it seem like an external threat, criminalizing it made it feel like keeping America safe.
That's using your melon.
Mm,
Damn it.
no.
No.
These connections, coupled with some good old American, they're taking our jobs,
Germs.
led to the idea for marijuana prohibition to spread quickly across the country.
Nailed it. I'm proud of you.
To give a few examples of what was being said in newspapers across the country, marijuana, perhaps now the most insidious of our narcotics, is a direct byproduct of unrestricted Mexican immigration. Mexican peddlers have been caught distributing sample marijuana cigarettes to school children. This was a 1935 letter to the editor on the New York Times.
Come over here, kid. I'm going to give you a little try before you die.
Want some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death
You
sticks.
don't want to settle me, death sticks.
I wish I could show you what a small marijuana cigarette can do to one of our degenerate Spanish-speaking residents.
Jesus.
That's why
Damn.
Stop.
I told.
Oh,
I know.
This is bad.
I know. We've been prepped.
man.
That's why our problem is so great. The greatest percentage of our population is composed of Spanish-speaking persons, most of whom are low mentally because of social and racial conditions.
I mean, it's almost like they're claiming that everybody who, is from below the border are all criminals and rapists and murderers. I don't know that anybody would do that within the current confines of our political. Oh,
Especially
wait.
not in office.
Wait a
Or
minute.
Yeah,
that were formerly in
damn.
office, and maybe hopefully
So did
choking
Hearst-
on a dick.
I was going to say, did Hearst claim they needed to build a wall to keep us safe from all of these miscreants?
Well, they can grow the plants
That would
taller.
be very interesting. But I have no idea. So this one I'm going to censor one word.
Just don't even say
because
it.
it is.
Yeah.
Oh, no, as in like I'm not going
Oh,
to say
good.
it.
Oh.
You don't even
Just-
need a
just
preamble.
so
then.
when
You
I
just read it
Redacted.
without it, yeah.
All right,
What do you
cool. I like redacted. No, actually, surprisingly not. It is not that
All
one.
right. I have to check you from time to time.
No, you're fine.
No, I'm not.
No.
but-
No. Next.
Oh, I'm in free speech jail now.
You got to go to the penalty box.
5 minutes in the penalty box.
I don't want to see that box.
That is a hockey term, John.
I still don't want to. I know it's a hockey term.
Okay.
What you think she doing there in the penalty box? She's being punished.
The last one.
I
What
didn't
the
know that I was
absolute
giving a preamble to
fuck?
that with that quote, and I'm now feeling uncomfortable about my inclusion of it. But
Edit it the fuck out.
ooh, yeah,
Just a sharp
All right,
edit, no
I
censor,
will-
just a
yeah. Let's
jump.
keep the Django
All right.
hard turn away from this. But yeah, that quote is
So
deplorable.
I will completely cut that from it.
Yep.
I quoted that as from an Arizona Republic newspaper editor, but that was a lie since that whole part is part of that. It wasn't a Arizona Republic newspaper editor. The newspaper wasn't listed.
Let me guess. White hate publication.
Yeah.
OAN.com.
Thank you.
Newsmax.
Yes, indeed.
This racism wasn't limited to local newspapers. Oh no. One Texas senator said while speaking on the floor of the state Senate, quote, "All Mexicans are crazy, and this stuff is what makes them crazy."
And that senator was Ted Cruz.
Who is alive then, and
Speaking
he's
in
alive now because he's a real life vampire.
Indeed, he's just traveling through the ages, still being ugly and covered in pubic hair.
Yeah, he's like the opposite of Tom Cruise.
He's like if a quick trip, you dropped a hot dog out of the rolling machine, it went across the floor, picked up everything that was underneath one of the candy aisles, and you brought it back up and put a suit on it.
I
There's Ted
still
Cruz.
can't believe that he got away with the Zodiac killings.
Me either.
And he's back on the escalator again.
Oh, he just loves killing. There he goes. Look at him go.
Oh boy, I do
Oh,
sure
he's
love
taking-
killing.
Oh, he's taking people's rights away. There he
I mean,
goes.
his dad also killed Kennedy, so I mean, it runs in the family.
God.
And his wife is ugly, according to a certain other person.
Well, I mean,
Why
with
did
the
that
pair
get
of them,
me?
they're fucking American Gothic flashed forward into this century, and I don't care that this is slanderous because no one's gonna hear it, so it's fine.
Soon enough, marijuana had been inexorably linked with racial minorities, jazz and swing music, sexual debauchery, as well as unpredictable and violent behavior.
like
Can
all
I
good
call
things,
bullshit? Can I call bullshit
Well-
on the jazz before we?
No, it was linked
Okay,
to jazz.
all right.
Yes, yeah.
I was just thinking you were flashing back to the our earliest episode. So
Takes all your bad feelings,
Oh, I wish.
turns them into good feelings.
all right, Courtney, go ahead.
Oh, were
Take
you
it
saying
home.
I mean, you can't shake on the podcast.
I don't know what he's talking
You
about.
were saying that is all the good things. I wasn't sure if there was some other aspect of the joke you were going to.
Nope.
Cool.
This is her now. This is who she's always been.
This is true.
You know who I am, Stephen A. Smith.
There is not a simple answer to the question, when was marijuana made illegal in the U.S.?
There's not a simple
Well,
answer to what year is it.
Where am I? While most states had passed regulations on cannabis, 48 states by 1936, it took time for federal legislation to officially make it illegal throughout the entire country. While the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 didn't outright ban marijuana use, it imposed an occupational excise tax upon certain dealers in marijuana and imposed a transfer tax upon certain dealings in marijuana. So essentially, they were just taxing any sort of, mainly doctors and other such dispensaries or that anachronistic, thing. But essentially, doctors were getting fined whenever they would prescribe cannabis as medicinal.
Okay, so it wasn't outright prohibition, is what you're saying.
It wasn't outright prohibition. Okay. It was not like alcohol.
All right. So they just wanted to tax it out of reasonable use.
In fact, it actually drove so many doctors to instead start prescribing narcotics instead of marijuana for pain management.
Wow.
Let's see. Anslinger pushed for that bill to pass, presenting Congress with sensationalistic Billy Hearst articles and stories of bloody rampages that had supposedly happened while the assailant was under the influence of marijuana. Congress. I've been Congressed.
Damn near killed him.
Haha. Congress damn near killed her.
I can't walk straight no more. I've been Congressed.
Oh, no.
Sexual Congressed.
Did you hear what happened to Jane last week? She got Congressed.
They passed that bill on Capitol
she can't
Hill, and
walk.
now she's been Congressed.
We make jokes, but that's happening. Yeah.
Indeed.
Congress, being the fair and balanced representatives they are,
Bullshit.
had a set of...
Did you actually put that line there, Michael?
Yes, well, it wasn't a lie, it was sarcasm, but yeah.
Damn.
Congress had a set of hearings centered on opposition to the bill. As you can guess, they were extremely short and featured a single doctor from the American Medical Association who opposed the taxation, as they were the dealers mentioned in the wording of the bill. Specifically, the bill had mentioned them as dealers as opposed to doctors for some odd reason.
It's, in the current opioid crisis that we're presently presented with, you think of all the things that could have been abated or just completely avoided entirety, or in its entirety, if this had not happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it just boggles the mind.
And ensnares the senses.
I mean, just think of the number of Hershey bars that could have otherwise been sold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's consumerism.
American industry
Just make
could
them
have
consume.
thrived.
Also,
Yeah.
it's,
Shoot.
just makes me think of 1122 because of that line, like the past harmonizes. So you're looking at things. It's different now. Like things are getting better in some areas, but like you look back then, it's like, it's just always been bullshit. So.
Yeah. After these hearings, Congress voted in favor of the act. It was mostly downhill from there, aside from a brief increase in hemp production during World War II, because the demand was very high, and so there was actually, I didn't do a lot of reading into it because I figured my episode was long enough, but there was actually a push for people to grow more hemp to make things like parachutes.
Uniforms,
that sort of thing.
things like that.
Yes, yeah.
Something durable, presumably.
Yes, to replace more like higher quality products or things like nylon and stuff that were being used to make military equipment. In 1951, the Boggs Act established a mandatory minimum sentence of 2 to 5 years for first-time drug offenses. And finally, Marijuana was included in the Narcotics Control Act of 1956, where first-time drug offenders get 2 to 10 years in prison and a fine up to $20,000, which would be close to $200,000 in today's money.
Damn.
Yeah.
You gotta love that was gonna give
And-
you more time than like raping another person.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And that concludes the history of weed in the U.S. up to criminalization. If there is an interest, then I can do not necessarily a part 2, but more like a follow-up episode that delves into the history of the war on drugs, how it was and still is a massive failure.
I was going to
I would
say,
listen.
yeah, that's a
the war on
4-hour
drugs is,
episode if it happens.
Yeah. So if there is interest, then I'll write it, but if not, it's not a
Color
big
me
deal.
intrigued.
It wouldn't be a part
Yeah,
2.
I think we just birthed 2 episode ideas inside of this episode.
Cool.
Indeed. I mean, it's just sprouting like a weed.
I realized
Ha.
I probably should do one more before we get to 100.
I mean,
I
we
mean-
don't want to set ourselves up for failure here, John.
Oh, shit.
We can't delay shows for that long.
Oh man. That's a real pickle you put me in here.
Gotta get this thing out by next year at least.
I should start writing.
Speaking of which, is Courtney got anything in the barrel as well before we get going too far?
As far as
Topics.
Episodes
new
you're
topics,
planning to
yeah,
present?
I'm working on one specifically about MSG.
Oh, that's right.
I'm working.
Oh, yes, I
on
remember you said that,
one
okay.
About the anthropology of tattooing.
Nice.
So
Nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I've got a couple companion pieces to this in particular. I have the Terence McKenna and the Stoned Ape theory that I was planning on bringing in, and then some other random Arizona-based
Ooh.
myths that we can throw in here as well. But so yeah, all right. Well, not to digress. So, Mr. Michael, we got 2 lies, and you omitted one or eliminated one based
yes.
on what we were just talking about earlier. Retconning for all of you who are paying attention up at the start, we have been reduced from 5 lies to 4 lies because one of them was a bit too touchy for air.
It was such a good
Yes.
lie.
yikes.
It was
Indeed.
not.
It's all them big words.
Yeah. So, any stabs before I release the other ones?
Release the other
Um,
ones.
As far as were doctors actually getting fined when they were prescribing it, or were they like losing their practice?
No, they were getting pretty much. It wasn't necessarily a fine, I guess. It was more of there was a tax. Like it was a big tax that was being exercised. So you can almost think of it as them being fined in a way because they were still trying to prescribe cannabis as opposed to other medications.
And the fact that it is through taxation that they tried to curb the use is also not bullshit.
It is not
Okay,
bullshit.
all right.
Yes.
I'm scanning back through all of the relayed information
With your photographic memory.
Indeed, yes, to get us all the way through here. I feel like one of the headlines previously had to have had something that went a bit wonky, but if those are all, your eyes lit up, so I'm assuming those are all factual.
They're all
Wow.
factual.
Okay.
They're all
Other than the
true.
one
I-
which was omitted. Okay.
Yes. Well, no, the one that I quoted was
Okay, it was true. Just you
it was just
misappropriated.
attributed
Yes,
to a
right,
wrong
okay.
source. Yes,
Well,
yes,
I'm
yes.
shot. I'm not going to drag this out any longer. So
Yeah, me
give me
too.
the sweet release, Daddy.
Okay,
Choke
so
me.
the first lie actually was the classical history. So weed, or the cannabis plant, has been used by various civilizations going all the way back to classical Greece. That is true, but the oldest record does not date to Aristotle. It actually dates 100 years before Alexander and Aristotle's time. It was the Greek historian Herodotus who wrote about cannabis steam baths taken by Central Eurasian Scythian people.
All right.
Um,
Now, is the
He wrote-
I'm
oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Is the India's aspect of this though that you quoted that is something that is actually truthful though?
No, so the whole Aristotle encountering the plant being ingested by Indian slaves during Alexander the Great's military conquest of the Indian subcontinent was all a
Okay.
lie. That whole part was the
All
lie.
right.
Though cannabis was used and grown in India at that time because it spread everywhere. And Alexander the Great did not conquer India. He actually was turned back at India, but I'm being a history nerd.
But see, and
there,
that's
so
why
I'm going into
I
detail about
started. That was the one thing that I kind of smelt around, but then I was like, I have no frame of reference for this, so I don't know if the barbarians conquered Gaul. Then moving on. So you were saying Herodotus?
Yes, he wrote the Scythians take some of this hemp seed and throw it upon the red hot stones. Immediately it smokes and gives out such a vapor as no Greek vapor bath can exceed. The Scyths, delighted, shout for joy.
And so that is the revenge of the Scythians.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't have
The Scythians deal only in absolute
That's what I've heard.
vodka. Yeah.
The second lie, Courtney almost got. I had said that the crop was considered a proper form of currency in Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. That is true. But it was not such an important form of currency that it was used as pay during the Revolutionary War.
So are you arguing, is your lie just semantics?
No,
No,
it
that
wasn't.
it wasn't a currency.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It wasn't paid. Soldiers
So
weren't getting
rather
paid
than
in hemp
so
during
rather
the
than getting the
Revolutionary
food,
War.
as I was joking about,
Yes.
that the
So
thing that will
you-
give you the munchies.
You actually got
Yeah.
Shane with bait. That was good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're like, I think he'll do a voice here.
I was just trying to make a joke, kid.
He'll do a voice. This is perfect. I could not find a resource.
A resort?
I couldn't stay
I
at this
can't
resort.
find a resort. I was kicked out.
Tomato, potato.
I could not find a source that gave an explicit answer regarding whether or not soldiers were paid in hemp, but considering all farmers grew hemp in varying amounts to the point where even taxes, as a little bit of a cool thing, could be paid in hemp, I would assume that being paid in something that is already grown plenty back home would not really be received well with soldiers, especially given that they would rather eat than be paid in hemp.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes, you got the lie about the early version of Coca-Cola having alcohol, indica, chloroform, and morphine. And I know I can't pronounce that word. I'm not going to try.
Chloroform.
It has the thing that plants crave, as John would say.
It sure does.
You got that lie, and you got the satanic orgy, and you got the omitted one.
Yes. The Arizona Republic, we'll call it.
Yes. Yeah. So
Well played, my
Nice.
friend. And I'm chuckling all the way through it.
I think I have the follow-up that the seed that Courtney and I planted
Yes.
of how we dismount
Uh-oh.
today.
Was it a Scythian seed?
Could be.
I will shout delighted.
We
for joy.
we need to
Let me get my
know.
saber.
We need to know the answer to this question. Shane and Michael, you pick who wants to answer first.
Unlimited power!
It's very
I'm
important.
too weak.
It's very important, and I want you to think very, very hard about it. Do you
Okay.
think? Do you think that your elementary school principal is dead?
My response to that is wipe them out. All of them.
Sure. I
God, I
don't
hope so.
I
I also hope that my high school assistant principal, who I took that glorious driver's test with, I hope he's dead as well.
I'm sure that after he dealt with you, he wished the same thing too.
After he made me handle his balls and his athletic supporter.
One of Becky's patients asked her that deadpan, and
So funny.
it's the best fucking question of all time, and that's the exact verbiage too. Because
Yeah,
I
so-
tried to be like, hey, do you still think they're alive? She goes, no, that's not how it was said. You have to say it.
Welcome to John Presents Quotes from the Neurodivergent, our new installment
it's
here
like a
weekly
relay,
on the
but-
show.
If
Yeah.
you could just quote Michael the whole time and be like the same thing.
I
so.
mean, technically,
It's not wrong.
ADHD, it's
Get
that's
some,
that's a divergency.
Ointment for that burn.
I consider it.
Well, thank you for playing the new game show that everyone's been pining over?
The appropriate answer is yes, I killed him.
I can't even
That's what we were
remember
looking
my
for.
elementary school principal.
Really?
But I'm sure with some therapy, he'd come back out.
Well, my elementary school principal most certainly remembers me, because if I have never told this story to any of you listening, I'm sure
Oh,
Michael and Courtney have
all
never
of-
encountered this.
All of the best Shane stories start with.
So, my mother coddled me, in case you haven't
No
paid
shit.
attention on this podcast.
Hold the fuck on. We're not going to make this like 20 minutes. But the fact that we were at practice and Shane said something akin to like, oh, well, we're all, or you're quoting Fight Club, and you're like, oh, you're just generation raised by women, or raised by our mothers, to be loving, or we're soft or cushiony, and both Sam and I were like, oh no,
no, we were beaten mercilessly.
We were like, Sam and I both like had that like shared trauma moment where you're like, oh yeah, you had to do that kind of shit too. Oh yeah, you couldn't express your feelings. Oh, you got in trouble if you cried. Weird.
I'll give you something to cry about.
Oh yeah.
And my mom was just like, it's healthy to cry. Whenever you feel down, you should probably just get in the shower and have a good cry, and it will release endorphins and you'll feel better. So you go and do that. And then later on, when she told me I couldn't touch my dick, I was like, that also releases endorphins, Sherry. So, I mean, pick your poison. I
said,
either take
"I
a
wasn't-"
shower and cry, or I spooge everywhere.
She goes,
How about I spooge in the shower while crying? Does that work for you?
Because I wasn't arguing on
Self-cleaning.
which one you do. I just told you I prefer not to be in the room.
I'd prefer if you
Fine.
just cried
I'm going to
instead of
fuck someone
masturbating.
else's mom.
If anyone's gonna fuck my mom.
No one's gonna fuck my mom. That's sad. Anywho, I liked to be home. My father tried to take me the first day he tried to take me to kindergarten. I ripped his shirt off of his body.
Like claws.
Yes, like I tore his shirt. He was trying to take me out of the car. I refused. He tried to set me down. I held onto him. So I then, to show you how well my father coped, and this explains his and my dynamic, he locked me in the truck and walked away from me. So he walked like 2 miles down the road to stop himself from beating me to death, apparently, I think would be my interpretation.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway,
Oof.
I was kind of difficult to deal with, and so I didn't like to go to parties. I would go to parties, my mom would take me, I would refuse to go in, so that they'd have to just take the present they bought for me to distribute and take it, hand it, and then take me home. Like, I'm not a sociable cat by any stretch, so I routinely wanted to leave school to go home. To the extent that if it got overcast, I had a sense of foreboding that it would snow and I wouldn't be able to go home and I would be trapped there. So I would try to get out of school early. And at one point when I was in second grade, I wrote my own hall pass and went down to the principal's office and handed my hall pass to the secretary and said, I need to call my mother. At which point, funnily enough, the secretary of the school was actually best friends with my grandmother. And so knew who I was and appreciated it so much and found it so charming that she allowed me to call my mother with my own handwritten hall pass and phone pass. And that story lived in infamy through the entirety of the educational system as I was growing up. That like, oh, this is the hall pass kid. Here's the one who thinks that adults aren't going to tell the handwriting of a second grader on a little slip of paper. But
Which member of our faculty spells their S's backwards?
listen, I was a very erudite child, my friend.
I said
It
spelled,
was just
you know what I meant.
my cursive was a little dodgy. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man, I actually haven't heard that story. That's hilarious.
Yep, and I'm still writing my own hall passes to this day, much to Melissa's dismay.
Up
But,
until like 6th grade, my mom was the school nurse, so there was no getting out of that shit for us.
hello, nurse.
Because it didn't mean we'd get to go home, so I actually just tried to stick it out. Because like I could go to the nurse's office and like take a nap. Yeah, I could be like, Mom, I feel like shit, and she'd be like, No, you don't. And I was like, Can I nap? She goes, No. Can I nap? Shut up. Okay. She would never
See,
do that.
this
She was
is-
a saint.
That is actually how her and my relationship was originally cultivated.
Oh, it's been a long time since you've talked about how much you have sex with my mom.
Yeah, I went and stuck it out with Linda as well. And,
I'm sure you did.
Yep. It's a little pacifier.
I'm gonna be on time.
I'm gonna be on time. I'm gonna take your temperature. Hold on.
No, Shane, no.
Why does that thing have mercury in it? Not supposed to use those anymore. Oh, it's an anal thermometer.
Anal, damn.
Well, indeed, yes, rectum. Damn near
rectum.
Damn near fucked him. I have no end to this bit, so watch as I execute a small bow.
He didn't do
Anyway,
it.
thanks for listening to this brand new episode of the Disinformed podcast. I'm really happy that you all were able to join us today because it was a lot of fun getting super stoned here with Mr. Michael and company.
You're dead.
John loves this voice so much that this is my stoned voice. This is me trying to talk while holding the weed in. Anyway, we have shows that flee from your preferred provider app every marvelous Monday morning, including new episodes of this one, so I'm sure
You're going to enjoy it. It's a lot of fun for all involved parties. And furthermore, we are on the tubes of you every Wednesday, giving you fabulous fan fiction, including the conclusion of My Immortal, the Squeakquel, which we released this week, or will be releasing, I should say, on Wednesday. We're glad to see it go.
Yes.
I will not be crying at the funeral,
Put
I
a
assure
bullet
you.
in its brain and bury it in wet, wet mud.
And let the Goffs mourn it at a Christina funeral. But and we also occasionally, dabble with an After Dark or two, and we may. I got a text from Scott earlier whilst we were talking about whether or not he was going to dive in with us this evening. We'll have to have a chat about that, I think. But in any event, we will be getting our good friend from Book Invasion, Scott, on very soon. Even if it might be just Shane doing a little chat with our friend, but we'll finagle something. So thank you all for being here, and of course, if you're enjoying this show, you can give us a glorious and glowing review on your preferred platform. So if you're an iTunes user, go on and give us a little rate and review there. We would love to hear from you. You can do that with Google Play. You can do it anywhere that disreputable podcasts are distributed. We are there, I assure you. So show us some love, and we'll give it right back to you in the form of Michael's address.
That's right.
That's right. I sent Steven a picture of Michael's house because
He told me.
asked.
He was very excited.
So this is not a joke or a drill, folks.
It's
Come on
not.
down to Instagram and we'll show you a time.
Only you can send bees to Michael's house. But the first step to sending bees to his front door is to know what front door that is that you need to send it to.
Indeed. And contrary to popular belief, I am not the one who sent anthrax to Rand Paul.
Well, I'm glad that you cleared the air there, Wayne.
I just want to, remove any guilt and the aspersions cast by those who are misinformed.
We're all looking for the guy who did this.
And I want to make sure that he's caught. The culprit is caught. And it's not, in case you haven't heard this, Rand Paul said Richard Marx did it. I'm not kidding. This is not bullshit. Apparently, Richard Marx had claimed. All right, I'm sorry, I'm going to devolve. At some point, Richard Marx, dadgummit. Rand Paul was actually wrestled to the ground by one of his neighbors because he's just an ignorant asshole. And so they had some fisticuffs. And so Richard Marx on Twitter said, if I ever have the opportunity to meet Rand Paul's neighbor, I want to give him the biggest hug. And then a few days later, Rand Paul receives a package filled with white powder and a threatening letter. And so when he's speaking to the authorities, he goes, "It has to be this Richard Marx. He's the one who's stirring all these people up." So they had a very lovely little segment on A Late Show with Colbert, where Richard Marx showed up and took credit for having done it and said he's trying to rally his millions of Twitter followers to take over the globe, and he plugged all his upcoming shows and dates and a book that he just released and everything. It was very fun, very clever.
I just remembered I actually have something exciting to tell you guys.
Oh, wow.
There are a lot of rumors swirling around that Velocipaster 2 is going to be made. So we're gonna get a sequel.
Be still
How
might
does
be
one
the
approach
part.
the sunset?
Indeed. And why is my name Frankie Dolphins? No, it's Frankie Mermaid. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be funny.
Because I'm swimming in bitches.
I actually looked that up because I'm trying to figure out what the next tagline is, what the intro to the show is going to be for season 3. So I'm trying to pull interesting quotes or things from the show because I think the MCR shtick is going to have to go the way of the dodo, and we need our new By the Eternal Behold. And so I was looking back, and one of the ones that I was looking at is Where My Pig. And of course, the ever popular Why Is My Name Frankie Mermaids. So,
It's perfect.
yeah.
Son,
but
you see, sex is like an ocean. We're drowning in it.
and here's the small bow again.
And I'm
But thank you.
Michael.
Thank you all for being here. We have social networks, and you don't care, so I'm not gonna fucking talk about them
Yeah,
anymore.
you can-
It's
You can fucking deduce how to find that shit if you care.
Yep, it's pretty official, but if you give us enough pressure for us to get on the platform that the cool kids are using, Michael may
Still won't
actually
do it.
attempt to make them talks tick.
Instead of just being TikTok.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, yes, we got to get the special shampoo to get those ticks out. But all right, well, for this week's stirring installment, or stony installment, if you want to go, of Disinformed, I am Shane.
I'm John.
I'm Michael.
I'm Courtney.
So long, and how high?
So long and yeah.
420 plays it.
Legalize it!
Pasteurize it.